Caribbean and back to his agenda, announcing a primetime speech from the White House tonight. One thing he's likely trying to turn the focus away from.
For years, the world has watched the standoff between the United States and Venezuela grow more intense. From economic sanctions and political accusations to military movements across the Caribbean Sea. But behind every headline is a far deeper story, one that involves power, ideology, oil, and a long struggle for control in the Western Hemisphere. This conflict is not simply about two governments disagreeing.
CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Ed, what do we know about the strike?
Not much, Lindsay. The president saying that
It is about how global superpowers shape smaller nations, how economic pressure becomes a weapon, and how millions of ordinary people are caught in the middle. Today, we take a deeper look at how this confrontation began, why it continues, and what it could mean for the future of the entire region. Roots of the conflict. Relations between Washington and Caracas were not always hostile. For most of the 20th century, Venezuela was one of America's most reliable energy partners.
It hasn't been confirmed, but if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences.
Its vast oil reserves made it a cornerstone of the US energy supply chain. That relationship shifted dramatically with the rise of Hugo Chavez in 1999. Chavez launched what he called the Bolivarian Revolution, a political movement designed to break US influence across Latin America.
War! Just peace! Just peace!
In a rare intervention in English, Nicolas Maduro issued a...
He nationalized oil fields, restructured foreign investment laws, and used oil profits to fund social programs while forging alliances with anti-US governments. After Chavez's death, Nicolas Maduro inherited not only the presidency, but a fractured nation, struggling with inflation, corruption, and institutional collapse. For Washington, Maduro was no longer a partner, but a problem to be confronted. Sanctions and economic warfare. The United States accuses Venezuela's leadership of authoritarianism.
Confirmed, but if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. Consequences will be very powerful, maybe more powerful.
Election manipulation and ties to organized crime. In response, Washington imposed sweeping sanctions targeting Venezuelan government officials, state-owned enterprises, international banking access, most critically, the oil industry. The result was catastrophic. Oil production plummeted. Foreign currency disappeared.
8 military ships with 1,200 missiles and a nuclear submarine are targeting Venezuela. This is an extravagant, unjustifiable, immoral...
Imports of food, medicine, and equipment collapsed. The Venezuelan government describes these measures as economic warfare designed to force regime change. US officials insist the sanctions protect democracy. Either way, the ordinary people pay the price. The human cost inside Venezuela. Behind the political statements are millions of families trying to survive, hospitals without medicine.
Venezuela's president has a warning for the United States. If you mess with our country, you're messing with all of South.
Children fainting in schools from hunger. Neighborhoods going days without electricity or clean water. Over 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country, one of the largest migration movements in modern history.
And in essence, part of this trip was designed for Netanyahu to come here and essentially get permission from the president to strike if they feel the need. But
many of them did not travel to North America or Europe. They went to the Caribbean. The Caribbean, caught in the middle islands such as Trinidad and Tobago, Curacao and Aruba, became frontline destinations for Venezuelans escaping collapse.
Area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats and now we hit the area.
These are nations built for tourism, not mass migration. Local schools are overcrowded, public hospitals are overwhelmed, housing prices rise as demand outpaces supply. Governments are forced to choose between protecting their own struggling citizens and assisting desperate newcomers. It is a moral dilemma with no easy answer. energy and economic shockwaves.
Needs 3 times that amount of energy to keep up with the growth of the data centers. So there's a huge appetite.
For decades, Venezuela supplied subsidized oil to Caribbean nations through programs like Petrocaribe. When sanctions severed these lifelines,
electric bill has gone up lately. You are not alone. And it may not just be the summer heat that's causing things to rise. Artificial intelligence data centers.
Electricity prices surged. Transportation costs exploded. Tourism, the backbone of many Caribbean economies, became harder to sustain. Even nations with no political ties to Venezuela now feel the ripple effects through global energy markets. Military pressure and regional security. As tensions escalated, the United States increased naval patrols under counter-narcotics operations.
Venezuela is ordering a massive mobilization of its military as the United States sends more of its own firepower to the region.
Venezuela responded with mass military drills and mobilization campaigns, warning neighboring states not to become launch pads for foreign intervention.
About Venezuela's mobilization of not only its troops, but equipment as well as ammunition.
The Caribbean has become more than a transit route. It is now a strategic theater. Global powers enter the game. Russia, China, and Iran have stepped in to support Venezuela, economically, politically, and militarily.
E for China on the opening tip against Jordan.
This is no longer a regional dispute. It is part of a wider global contest for influence in the Western Hemisphere. Conclusion: the conflict between the United States and Venezuela is not fading.
And wondering whether this means some kind of confrontation down the line, but we know that the undercurrent of a lot of what we've been seeing is that Caracas does believe that Washington is...
It is evolving, reshaping economies, redrawing alliances, and transforming the Caribbean into a frontline zone in a global power struggle.
In the U.S. fleet. At the same time, it brings significant air assets as well. It has 9 air squadrons.
Whether this crisis ends in diplomacy or disaster will depend on decisions being made right now, not just in Washington and Caracas, but across the entire hemisphere.
Some U.S. officials hope can be accomplished as part of this military buildup. But at the same time, we also know that the Trump administration told...
If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like this video, share it with others who want to understand global politics, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more in-depth international stories every week.